Is that a weapon? That's what she screamed. Over the fence at my Windchimes. I wish I were exaggerating. But that's what happens when your HOA president decides she's a noise pollution expert with a badge made of printer paper and delusion. And before the week was over, she had the cops, the HOA board, and an actual SWAT officer in her driveway. Because of Windchimes. Mine. I live on a quiet cul-de-sac in Mulberry Pines. Birds, hedges, little flags, and flower pots. You know the type. I moved here after my divorce. Wanted peace, simplicity, a front porch, and Windchimes, handmade from brushed copper and glass beads. A birthday gift from my daughter. She picked out the blue stones herself. They hung from the front awning, soft, mellow. They didn't clang, they sang. At least to me. But not to Karen Miles, HOA president and bringer of doom. She knocked on my door at 6:47 a.m. Clipboard in hand, visor, matching tracksuit, the suburban war uniform. Not those chimes, she said, pointing past me like a prosecutor. They violate Article 7. I blinked. I read Article 7. It's about yard furniture. Noise-generating structures fall under aesthetic disruptions. Subsection 7.3. They're chimes. They're aggressive, she snapped. They woke me up. I stared at her, then up at the chimes. They were barely moving. There's no wind. But there was, she barked. And the clanging, it's hostile. Hostile. Do I stutter? She handed me a violation notice. I glanced at it. The line under offense read, sound resembling projectile weaponry or coded signals. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Is this real? You'll find out how real it is when you get fined $100 a day. She turned and marched off like she'd just dropped a warhead. By noon, the HOA email arrived. Community alert, unauthorized noise devices, with a stock photo of Windchimes. Mine. I thought it would blow over. That maybe she'd calm down. I was wrong. That evening, I saw her with binoculars, on her porch, aiming them straight at my house. The next morning, I found 2 notes in my mailbox. One from Karen, second violation, noise persists, and one anonymous, written on a Post-it. She's completely lost it. We're with you. That second one mattered more than I expected. Because by day 3, things got louder. Not from my chimes, from her claims. She told the board I was using the chimes to intimidate her. Said they sounded like coded military messages. Accused me of being a retired operative. Not true. I sell insurance. She even told one neighbor she thought they were frequency weapons. And she called the police. I found out from the doorbell cam. We had a report of a suspicious sound device, said the officer. I nearly choked. You mean the Windchimes? That's what we're here to confirm, sir. He saw them. He blinked. These? Yep. He stared for a long second. Then he said, okay, well, I guess that's case closed. Except it wasn't. Because Karen filed an escalation report. Directly to the county. Claimed I was operating an experimental sound device capable of causing distress. The sheriff's office sent a specialist. And with him, a tactical officer, helmet, vest, serious face. Because suburban madness escalates fast when Karen's got Wi-Fi and too much time. Sir, step back. Let us assess the device. That's what the man in tactical gear said. He wasn't rude, just careful. Because when a county office receives a report of a potential sonic weapon, they have to respond like it's real. Even if it's just copper tubes and glass beads. I stood barefoot on my porch, coffee in one hand, confusion in the other. The SWAT officer had a badge on his chest that read, Sergeant Mendel. He crouched in front of my Windchimes, studying them like they might explode. Behind him stood Deputy Lori from the sheriff's office. She looked tired already. Sir, she said gently, your HOA president submitted a formal claim stating that this device was broadcasting coded noise. It's a Windchime, I repeated. Yes, she sighed, and we can see that now. Sergeant Mendel tapped one of the tubes. Ting. It's in E minor, he muttered. I blinked. You have perfect pitch? A marching band, 12 years, he said, straightening. This isn't a weapon. Karen watched the whole thing from across the street. Arms folded, eyes locked, wearing a trench coat like she was commanding a war room. When the officers crossed the street, she sprang forward. Yeah, well, did you disarm it? Deputy Lori raised a brow. Ma'am, it's decorative. I know, it's targeted, Karen hissed. He installed it to provoke me. With wind? With frequency, she shouted. I saw a documentary on it. It's a real thing. Sergeant Mendel opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. I assure you, ma'am, this isn't DARPA tech. It's a birthday gift from his daughter. Karen's jaw dropped. How do you know that? Because he told us. And because, he pointed to the chimes, there's a tag on it that says, "To Dad, love, Chloe." That should have ended it. But Karen didn't back down. She pointed straight at me. "This is harassment. He's triggering my anxiety with sound warfare. I demand a cease and desist." I stayed silent, let her spin. Deputy Laurie finally said, Ma'am, you can submit a civil noise complaint through municipal channels if you believe you're being disturbed. But this isn't criminal, and frankly," she lowered her voice, "this is starting to look like targeted harassment. From you." Karen's face tightened. "You'll regret this," she whispered. Then she turned, coat flapping dramatically, and stomped back to her house. By that evening, the whole neighborhood knew. The thread on the community board was legendary. Post title, "Breaking. Karen called SWAT on Windchimes." Highlights from the comments. Was she expecting a drone strike? Should we get her a foil hat for the next HOA meeting? Anyone know where to get Windchimes in E minor? Asking for a friend. The next morning, I found 6 Windchimes hanging from different porches. All shapes, all colors. Karen called the HOA board. Demanded an emergency vote to ban any item producing musical tones. The motion didn't pass. Tom Adler wrote simply, "No, Karen." She upped the game. Sent out a mass email. Community Health Advisory Acoustic Hazards. It included a link to a YouTube video about the psychological effects of low-frequency vibration and a screenshot of my Windchimes. That's when I decided, enough. I printed every email, every violation notice, every quote, every police record. Made a binder. Labeled it Karen vs. Wind. Took it straight to Brenda Cordes, HOA Vice President. She laughed when she saw the title. But she didn't laugh when she read through it. "She really called in a tactical unit?" Brenda asked. "Yes, because of chimes?" "And yes. You want to file a formal complaint?" No, I said. "Then what?" I smiled. "I want to host a wind chime workshop in my yard this Sunday." She blinked, then leaned back and said, "No, you glorious bastard. I don't care what you call it. Craft event, community sound garden, whatever. I'm shutting it down." That was Karen. The morning of the workshop, shouting from her porch like a dictator without an army. The irony, her voice was louder than any wind chime on the block. I spent the whole week getting ready. Cleared the lawn, mowed the grass, set up a folding table with copper tubing, string, paint, and beads. Chloe sent me more supplies from college. She even labeled the box. That'd make Karen's ears ring with love 3. I nearly cried. The flyer read, "Sunday, Wind Chime Workshop. Free and friendly. No politics, no drama. Just good vibes and gentle sounds." I posted it online, taped it to the community board at the clubhouse. Didn't expect much. Maybe 3 kids and a bored dad. But by Sunday at 9 a.m., I looked out and saw 12 families on my lawn. Cutting, stringing, laughing. Someone brought lemonade. Another neighbor brought cookies shaped like wind chimes. A teen in a hoodie played soft jazz on a Bluetooth speaker. Even Brenda from the HOA board showed up. "Needed a break from HOA hell," she smiled. Also, I brought glitter glue. But not everyone was smiling. Karen was pacing her driveway. Phone in hand, eyes like daggers. At 9:27, she marched over. "You're holding a disruptive, unauthorized event on community property," she snapped. "It's my front yard, but you invited the public." And the flyer said neighbors only. "You don't have a permit." Brenda stepped forward. "Actually," she said, holding up a clipboard, "he does. I signed it myself." Karen's face flushed. "You don't have the authority." "I do as acting president. You were suspended last week, remember?" Karen turned to me. "You think this is funny?" "I think it's peaceful." "You're mocking me." I'm making chimes. A small girl, maybe 7, walked up holding a crooked but beautiful wind chime of plastic beads and soda tabs. "Do you want to make one?" she asked Karen, smiling. Karen didn't respond, just stared, jaw tight, eyes glassy. She turned, muttering, and stomped back to her house. The little girl looked up at me. "She doesn't like music?" I knelt down. "She doesn't like change, but that's okay. Keep making beautiful things anyway." By noon, there were 30 chimes and trees. The block sounded like a soft music box. It was mesmerizing. Someone called it accidental art. I called it proof that joy is louder than control. But then, 3 days later, she retaliated. Not with fines, not with emails. She filed a cease and desist. Claimed that the chimes were triggering a neurological condition. Attached were medical notes, suspiciously vague, and a demand. Remove all noise-producing objects within 500 feet of my property line. The board reviewed it. They took it seriously. They had to. And that's when the idea hit me. Let's settle this the American way, I said. How? Asked Brenda. Public forum, open vote, let the neighborhood decide. You sure? Completely. It'll be messy. So was Sunday dinner at my mother's house. Doesn't mean it wasn't worth it. The board approved it. Karen objected. The board overruled her. Flyers went out that week. Community vote. Should wind chimes be allowed? Thursday, 6 p.m. Clubhouse. All voices welcome. And I knew this would be more than a vote. It would be a reckoning. Let the record show this is a formal hearing to determine the policy status of wind chimes in Mulberry Pines. Tom Adler sounded like a man narrating a courtroom drama. Karen sat 2 rows back, arms crossed. Beside her, a folder labeled Sonic Pollution Evidence. Across the aisle, families, seniors, teenagers, veterans, even Brenda in a t-shirt that said, "Wind happens." The clubhouse was packed, chairs shoulder to shoulder. No space for tension, but somehow we all made room for it. I sat front row, flag pin on my collar, Chloe's chimes in my hand. Tom opened the floor for discussion. Karen stood first. Her voice was clipped, controlled, but every syllable was a swing. This is about safety, about peace, about protecting our auditory environment. She held up her folder. Here you'll find articles, studies, anecdotes of neighbors driven mad by noise. These aren't just ornaments, they're weapons of psychological warfare. A murmur rippled. She turned. And this man, she pointed at me, has used them to mock me, harass me, undermine HOA authority. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Because the next speaker was Mrs. Gallardo, 72, with a cane and a chihuahua. I fought breast cancer last year, she said. He brought me soup when I couldn't get up. And those wind chimes? They helped me sleep. That soft sound? It reminded me I wasn't alone. Silence. Someone sniffled. Karen scribbled something furiously. Next came Adam, 14, wiry and anxious. I have anxiety, like real bad. But stringing beads and copper helped me feel okay for once. And the chimes? They don't stress me out. They sound like hope. Then came Don Harper, the veteran from down the block. Karen once reported my flagpole for being too aggressive. I stayed quiet then, not this time. He pointed his cane toward me. This man's wind chimes? They reminded me of campfires in the desert. You don't silence peace because one person hears ghosts. The room exhaled. Even Tom looked shaken. Karen stood again. This is emotional manipulation. Brenda stood next to her. No, Karen, this is a community. The vote was simple, yes or no. Allow decorative wind chimes within HOA guidelines. Ballots were passed out, folded, collected. Tom disappeared into the back room with 2 volunteers. Karen paced. I sat still. Brenda hummed softly. It sounded like one of the chimes. 10 minutes passed, felt like 30. Then Tom returned. He didn't smile, he just read. By a count of 86 to 3, the motion passes. Applause, actual applause. Neighbors hugged, some clapped. A kid fist pumped. Karen? She grabbed her folder and stormed out. Didn't even look back. Didn't slam the door. Just vanished. Like wind through an open window. That night, the wind blew strong. And Mulberry Pines sang. Not in chaos, in harmony. But I wasn't done yet. Because the damage Karen had caused, it ran deeper than copper tubes and frequency reports. So I did something unexpected. I sent her a letter. You're still invited to the next wind chime workshop. No drama, no fights, just community. We may never agree, but I still believe people can change. Let the wind decide. No reply. Not for 2 days. Then a note appeared on my porch. Folded, handwritten. Still think they're annoying, but I read the boy's speech again. Maybe it's not always about me. Hey, welcome to workshop number 2. I never thought I'd say that. Not as a craftsman, not as a leader. Definitely not as the guy accused of acoustic terrorism. But here we were, Mulberry Pines, 10 a.m., front lawns filled with laughter, tables of copper pipes, wire, beads, glue, even bells. And across the street on her porch, watching from behind sunglasses, was Karen. This time more people came. Dozens. Kids on scooters, grandparents in lawn chairs. A jazz trio played under a maple tree. Chimes hung everywhere, like ornaments of defiance and forgiveness. Tom grilled hot dogs. Brenda wore a t-shirt that said, Noise complaint department, press 1 for chimes. And I stood behind a folding table labeled String It With Strength. Teaching kids how to knot cord tight enough to hold copper. The wind will fight you, I told one boy, but you've got to let it move through. He nodded, serious as a sculptor. Around noon, the music quieted. A woman cleared her throat behind me. I turned. It was Karen, not shouting, not clutching a clipboard. She wore jeans, a plain gray sweater, and in her hands, a box of mismatched metal pipes. "They're from my father's workshop," she said, voice rough. "He passed last year." I said nothing. She added quietly, "He used to make wind chimes." I gestured toward an empty chair. She hesitated, then sat. For 15 minutes, we didn't speak. We just strung. She chose blue beads, same color Chloe picked. When she was done, Karen held up her chime. It was clunky, uneven, loud. She frowned. "It's awful." "It's honest," I said. She looked at me. "I still think they're annoying." "Fair. But they're not weapons." I smiled. "Big of you to say." She exhaled. Big of me to learn." The wind picked up just then. Karen's chime clinked. Sharp. Beautiful. Like an apology that didn't need to be spoken twice. The following week, Karen formally stepped down as HOA president. She cited personal growth and excessive drama fatigue. Brenda took over full-time. She reduced the bylaw manual from 94 pages to 37. Removed every reference to aesthetic frequency. Karen still walks the neighborhood. No clipboard. Sometimes with a coffee, sometimes with headphones. She waves to me now. Not always, but sometimes. That's enough. As for me, I mounted Karen's chime next to Chloe's. Hung them together beneath my porch. The sounds don't match. One is soft, one is blunt. But when the wind comes strong, they don't fight each other. They harmonize. Mulberry pine still has its quirks, its codes, its rules. But now it also has music, because we learned that peace isn't silence. It's permission. To laugh, to make, to listen, and sometimes to let the wind speak for you.